I've been meaning to ask you about something. The other day when I was venting to you about work, you were texting somebody the whole time. You barely looked up from your phone. It made me kind of wonder if you were even interested in what I had to say, or if you had some kind of crisis that had to be dealt with immediately. What was going on?
You know, honey, I remember that, and I'm so sorry. But I'd gotten an email. It was from my boss. We had a situation at the park. It was a tragedy. It was a death. Press was on the way, and if I didn't handle it right then, I wouldn't have been able to get in front of the press, so I'm sorry. I tell you, it's been frustrating because my new boss, he's new to what I do, and he's checking up on me all the time.
Oh.
It's like he doesn't understand that I have 20 years of experience doing what I'm doing, and I'm just so frustrated.
Ugh. Well, has he said anything about your performance?
Well, no, he hasn't, but I just don't know how to deal with this right now.
Man, it sounds like he's got some issues with your performance at work. He doesn't think you're able to get stuff done without his constant supervision. Does that sound about right?
That could be it.
Oh man, that's completely frustrating. I totally understand. He's been in this job for less than a year, and he already thinks that he knows the job better than you. I think you're great at what you do, and if he doesn't want to see that, it's his loss. But maybe he's just trying to assert himself because he's so new, and he knows that people don't really trust him yet. Maybe he's just trying to establish himself, even though he's going about it in a complete wrong way.
I think you're right. Thanks.
I work at a state park. We have a conference room that is available for rental for a flat rate. After you go over the certain amount of time, you do get charged for every additional hour. So we had a customer come in. She violated the agreement. She was late, and I thought she should be charged. My manager did not. So this is just about the interaction that we had about that particular situation. So my view on it was that she directly violated the agreement. She knew what the contract said, and she still stayed over the time. She broke the rules, and she should be charged for the additional hour. I didn't think that it was fair that he wasn't charging her, because why would you not hold her accountable for the agreement that she signed? It didn't really make any sense to me, and I thought it was a poor decision on his part. However, I understand how he got to that decision. She was really only 10 minutes late, and she did let us know that she was kind of running behind. I think I overreacted to the situation. So we both have some valid points. Customers should be held to the contract they signed, and they shouldn't be allowed to take advantage of our kindness. However, she did let us know that she was cleaning up and that she was trying to get out of the room. Giving her that grace period probably did wonders for our business, as I'm sure she'll probably remember that the next time she needs to rent a conference room. I was definitely wrong in reacting the way that I did. 10 minutes really is not a huge deal, and it would have looked really bad if we would have charged her for such a small amount of time over the limit. He should really consider how flexible he is with the customers and the rules. What's the point in making people sign an agreement if you're not going to adhere to it? She probably thinks she can get away with a lot more now that she knows that we don't really stick to our contract requirements. In the scheme of things, this is far from a big deal. She barely went over the time limit, and none of us were inconvenienced by it. We were all still doing other things that were going to keep us at work anyway, so it's not really that big of a problem that she was late. We made plenty of revenue for the day, so it's not like we were hurting for money either. This whole thing has definitely given us all some things to think about. I think we could use this as a learning tool in the future. We should consider sticking to the rules a little bit more, but also being slightly flexible for individual situations.
Mandy, I've been needing to talk to you about something. I've noticed when you answer the phone, sometimes when people are asking you questions, you seem to get a little abrupt with them.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize there was an issue. What exactly am I doing? Do I sound like condescending or rude or something?
Well, it was when I've heard it a couple of times, and it seemed like when people were asking questions of you, and it may be that you get these questions all the time, but you're beginning to get a little abruptness in your voice. You just need to accept that you need to be a little more polite on the phone.
Okay, so it sounds like I'm kind of letting my emotions affect my tone, which kind of comes across as rude, and it's becoming kind of a problem. All right, well, how do you think I should fix it?
Well, just maybe recognize that when someone calls you, that's a new question to them. They don't know that you may have gotten that question 10 times in the last 10 minutes. But just accept that they're the customer and it's your job to help them understand what they need so that they can have a great time.
You're right. I should definitely not be annoyed when somebody's asking me questions, especially since it's my job. I can see how that can kind of come across as rude, and I understand why it's a problem that needs to be fixed.
Well, thanks.
I have terrible nightmares and insomnia. My mother, who wakes up before the sun, usually decides that all of the pots and pans and dishes have to be put away, and the only way to accomplish this is by slamming all of the cabinet doors. The noise carries upstairs into my room like it's on surround sound. I've mentioned to her several times that it's really loud, and it's really hard for me to go back to sleep after. She usually is a little more cautious for a few days, and then she'll just revert right back to being loud and slamming cabinets. I only get a few hours of sleep every night on average, so being jarred awake several hours before I have to wake up is getting to be really detrimental. I'm going to ask her to talk on a day that we're both off of work, preferably in the afternoon. That way, tensions will be at their absolute lowest, and it won't feel like I'm jumping down her throat first thing in the morning. I need to talk to you about something that's bothering me. All the noise you make in the morning, it's waking me up from the very little sleep that I do get, and it's starting to get even more frustrating because I've talked to you about this before. I have to be up for work several days a week, and when I'm not working, I'm either in class or doing homework, and it's really hard for me to concentrate on anything when I'm fighting sleep. I'm beginning to wonder if you just completely dismissed all those times that I've talked to you about it before, or you just don't care at all. Maybe you just want the chore done before you have to come home from work. Regardless, it's making me very frustrated, and it's actually starting to make me feel a little angry. I'd really like to come up with some kind of compromise so I can get some more sleep and you can get whatever needs to be done in the kitchen taken care of.
Honey, I hear you. I know it's frustrating, and I'm sorry. I know you need your sleep, and I understand that the noise is waking you up.
Well, have you ever had a really terrible dream or just flat out not been able to fall asleep until the wee hours of the morning? Do you remember how exhausted you felt the next day? That's a normal night for me. So it's really important for me to know that you understand how much this lack of sleep is affecting my daily life. Would you mind kind of telling me what you've heard me say so I can make sure that I'm conveying myself correctly?
Okay, that's fair. I get up before you in the morning, and I am in the kitchen making noise. That wakes you up. I know that, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize that it was such a problem for you, even though you've shared it with me before, and I need to be more sensitive to it, I know.
Well, I'd really like to hear your take on things. You know, I'm sure you have to have a completely different perspective on this whole situation, and I think it's important for you to be able to convey that.
Yeah, well, you know how I am. I don't like to come home to things to have to clean up. When I leave, I like to know that things are kind of spick and span.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess we're just going to have to figure out a way to work through this because I like what I like and I don't want to have to come home to those chores. So what do you suggest?
Well, I want to be sure that I'm understanding everything that you're saying. Mm-hmm. And you can correct me if there's anything that I'm misunderstanding, because it sounds like you're trying to help me out by getting chores done before I wake up so I don't have to worry about them when I get up. And you really just don't realize how kind of loud that noise carries upstairs.
That's true. True.
So.
Well, so what can we do?
So you've got things that got to get done in the morning, and I have to get some sleep. So let's try to figure out some solutions. Okay.
All right. How's this? How about we get everything done at night? We get it all done in the evening.
Okay. I guess I could try waking up earlier.
You could come downstairs in the morning and help me.
Mm.
Nah, okay.
I mean, I could probably take care of putting everything away once you're gone.
Well, I could just try to be more quiet with everything that I do too.
Or maybe if you just, if you want to just see the cleared sink, you can take the dishes out and leave them on the counter, and then I'll put them up and make all the noise.
Well, we've got some options here. That first one, it could work, but it's not going to help you stay asleep longer.
No. Well, and that second one, it could maybe make it a little less detrimental. If I got woken up really early by the noise, it would let you kind of keep to your routine without having to be too concerned about waking me up. The only problem is that when I try to force myself to go back to sleep, it usually has a really negative effect on any kind of quality of sleep that I get.
Well, if you're up helping me, at least the noise and the banging won't last as long. And maybe you'll be able to kind of show me how much quieter I could be. And, I understand how hard it is for you to go back to bed, especially after you're up and moving. So overall, you'd still be getting less sleep than you need that way.
Yeah. I guess, too, well, if I came up or put the dishes away when I got up, it wouldn't really affect your routine at all, and it would still be done in the morning. I could wake up when I need to, and then you wouldn't have to worry about making any noise. It also would probably give you a little extra time in the morning to maybe get to some stuff that you don't normally get to.
Well, that solution could be a good one. I could try to put things away quieter, but that would affect my morning and put me behind, and I just don't know that that's going to work for me.
All right. Well, and I guess, if I were to put this stuff up after you take them out in the morning, it could be a good compromise, but I feel like it would still kind of be risky as far as the noise, because you'd still have to take them out of the dish rack and set them on the counter. It might not make as much noise as you actually putting them away, and I could get a little bit more sleep, but if it makes just as much noise, then what's the point? So I think the best solution would be for me to get up and put the dishes away after you've gone to work. Everything would still be done in the morning, so you wouldn't have to deal with it when you come home, and I'd be able to sleep until my limit rather than when you wake me up.
Honey, I think that's a great solution because you're helping out, I'm not affecting your sleep, and my sink is clean.
Well, let's try it.
Let's do it.
The compromise seems to be working well. I'm getting the opportunity to get some more sleep, and while it took a little bit of adjusting on her part, the dishes are still being put away before she gets home.